Want to know what else you need to buy in order to upgrade and compete with your Crystal Beast structure deck coming out this week? Well, stay tuned because we're going to go over a host of cards that you can pick up on the cheap and high-level investments. What's up YouTube, Dale here from Zephyr War Games, and this week is the official release for the Crystal Beast structure deck. Now I know there are a lot of old school GX fans that have been hyped for this deck for a while. On top of that, we do get some amazing reprints in this structure deck in the form of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, Ghost Belt and Haunted Mansion, and of course Dimension Shifter, alongside stuff like Cosmic Cyclone as well. However, those of you that are looking to pick this deck up and build it and compete at the highest possible level, here are a few cards that you might need to be able to go and pick up in order to either compete on the highest level or still compete on a budget kind of level as well. So, I'm going to start off with the generic cards that you should probably be picking up thanks to the Megatins of 2022 and of course for previous structure decks such as the Cyber Strike and of course the branded structure deck as well. So let's start off with the generic cards. We'll try and keep them nice and cheap in case you haven't picked up these structure decks in the past. So we'll look at a playset of Dark Ruler No More. Currently they are £2 a copy on Tier 0 games, plus the discount code will get them nice and cheap for you, as well as a playset of Nibiru the Primal Being. Now these might not be cards that go directly into the main deck, but they are incredibly powerful cards for the format that will help you break an opponent's board, whether you want to be going first or second with the Crystal Beast deck. And that is the one thing that this Crystal Beast deck has, which is really cool, is it has a nice balance of being able to go first and go second. You then look at other generic cards, stuff like Called by the Grave, which sadly wasn't in this structure deck, but it's definitely cards you need to be picking up. It's about £1.50 a copy, and you can probably pick up a little bit cheaper from locals as well, depending on who has access to them. Because they've had multiple common prints, I believe they've also had Super Print, Secret Print, and Ultra Print, so they're not exactly hard to find or track down. Now we start looking into more cards that will just up the level of this structure deck in general. One of the cheapest ways of upgrading the deck and being able to give it such a power play going second is the Neos Fusion package. Now for the Neos Fusion package, you already run Rainbow Dragon, so all you're missing is an Elemental Hero Neos, currently £1, and then a playset of Neos Fusion, which sadly is about £5 a copy, and you can get a playset maybe for about £12 depending on where you're shopping, and if of course you can pick them up at your local environment as well. You also need a Rainbow Neos for your extra deck, but because this came out in one of the gold sets, you can pick them up very cheaply for about 50p a copy. And what this does is it gives you an incredibly powerful boss monster that lets you shuffle in the graveyard, the field, or anything else to kind of help you clear the way, go in for the attack to win the game, or shuffle back materials that your opponent might be setting up or trying to play for. So for example, in a tier element matchup, if you shuffle in their graveyard, they might need that in there to be able to set them up plays. It puts them back to square one. Yes, it puts all of their cards back. However, it does give you the way of trying to be able to clear them out and then making sure that they have to start again when they're facing down a 4500 Rainbow Neos alongside some of the new Crystal Beast fusions as well, and all of your back row to go with it. Another one that came in the Megatins as well that you might want to be picking up is the brand new Rainbow Bridge Trap. This card lets you search out a field spell when it is banished, and you already get Foolish Bearer of Goods in the structure deck. Now the reason this is so important is because not only can you search out the field spell for the Crystal Beast, which you get in the structure deck, but as a deterrent for the current meta, you can also search out Necro Valley at £10, or Mystic Mine at £4.50. However, keep in mind that if you go for either of those two cards, more so Mystic Mine, you are looking at the possibility that it could get banned on the upcoming list. Luckily, it is only £2.50, so it is a small price to pay. And the reason you'd be going for something like that, £4.50, sorry, the reason you'd be going for something like that is it is such an incredibly powerful card that lets you control the board state going second, and also kind of hold back all of these Omni Negates and multiple negates and interruptions and interactions that your opponent is going to have. And it allows you to bring them back down to the Crystal Beast level where they're able to build a board and able to break a board apart, thanks to their brand new spell as well, which will allow you to bounce cards on top of that. We're now going to dive a little bit further into the extra deck. You get pretty much everything you need for the main deck of the Crystal Beast in the structure deck, and being able to get Ash Blossom or Joyous Springs in the structure deck just gives it a whole new bump, because Ash is probably the most generic hand trap around and is usually 9 times out of 10 in every single deck list. So really what you're going to be looking for when you're investing into this deck is for the extra deck and the side deck. So looking into the extra deck, what does this deck need? Well, it only provides you with 2 fusion monsters. Yes, you do have your main deck boss monsters in the form of the rainbow dragons because you're able to run 2 of them. You've got 2 different types, one that just summons itself pretty much when an attack is declared, giving you a 3k beta, but that also gives you the option to make rank 8 plays. So when you're looking at rank 8 plays, what cards would you be looking at? Well, I looked at something like Hope Harbinger for spell negates. I then looked at redirection attacks as well, which is very, very important. It's currently sitting at about £2. You've also got Dingurusu, which sits around £6.50. This is just a nice non-target send effect. Plus it will have 2 materials, so it will be able to have protection effect for all of your other stuff as well. And then the one card that I looked at, because what this deck is missing is it misses protection from something like Nibiru, is you can look at on the cheaper side, you can look at number 23, Lancelot. This was the only kind of rank 8 or synchro version or link monster that wasn't a mass amount of £20 to £25 or even £30, where you could use it to negate a monster effect in the form of Nibiru. That's something you need to worry a little bit more about in Game 2, so you could arguably look to invest in crossout designators if you wanted to as well, because I do feel that the deck, the way it combos, is very, very open to something like Nibiru, but it can hold back some elements of its plays in order to kind of make an Appaloosa or a Sporolo Savage Dragon, and I'll explain how you make those a little bit later in the video, and also talk about the prices that they are currently sitting at, because they are your heavy end investments. Carrying on with the extra deck, once you've gone past your rank 8, so the more generic cards you're going to be looking for will be some rank 4 cards and some link 2s and 3s. So when you're looking at the rank 4s, you're definitely going to want to be picking up a Baguska, currently sitting at 40p, so it's a no-brainer to pick that up. You can also be picking up cards like Lightning Chidori. With Lightning Chidori, of course, you make it with 2 Pegasus, and it does give you a nice little bounce to the top and bottom of the deck, and another bounce of a set card as well. And what that makes it so important is cards that want to be going to the graveyard, stuff like Mirror Jade, you can actually spin it back and not have to worry about its board destruction effect, which is really, really important. You can also look at Tornado Dragon, which is currently cheapest as a rare of about 20 to 50p. Again, all these cards, if you have a friend that just collects bulk, he'll probably have a lot of this around, so you could be able to get a bulk deal on it or a lot cheaper, or they might just even give you them to free when they're about 50p or less. So Tornado Dragon to deal with floodgates, back row, anything that might cause you issues, and then you can look into stuff like your link monsters. So you're going to want to be looking at before we go into link monsters, the last rank 4 you should be looking into is Daguerre's. So Daguerre's is what it gives you the ability for, is it gives you the ability to detach 2, to draw 2 and discard 1, but you skip your next draw phase. It also has the ability to revive a monster from the graveyard, but you skip your next main phase 1, which can be very, very important if you're going to go full combo with this deck, because that can lead you to a board with something like Appaloosa, Herald of the Art Light, Borrowed Savage Dragon, plus the brand new Rainbow Dragon, which is like 11,000 boss monster that your opponent then needs to deal with, alongside Crystal Concave and all of the other back row. The Garage is only like £1, so again, it's definitely easy to be picking up and finding. When you look at your link monsters, you're going to be looking at your generic link monsters, your stuff like your IP Masquerena, currently sitting at about £10 a copy, yikes. But it is a card that you just get so much future use out of. Whether you're going to splash it in just Crystal Beast or whether you're going to evolve it into other decks, it's one of them future investment cards that will always be relevant, and it is very, very, very unlikely they will ever get hit on the ban list. You then look at stuff like Nightmare Unicorn, Nightmare Cerberus, and of course Nightmare Phoenix. Now obviously all of these cards have great effects dealing with back row, special summon monsters on the board, and any card at all by discarding a card, which can also set up your Crystal Beast in the graveyard. But on top of that, you do actually use the Cerberus, or more so the Phoenix co-linked effect, with something like an Appaloosa in order to protect it from being destroyed by battle or card effect, which can be very, very helpful to keep it on the board, being able to protect everything else you are trying to do. So now let's look into the other packages. Now, when I talk about these other packages, there's different forms of investment for these, and what they seem to be is they seem to be these engines that are taking the Crystal Beast up a level. So from the structure deck, you can build a relatively decent control build of the deck. You can also build a relatively good combo version from the deck, because a lot of the combos literally just rely on the branded bonds, crystal bonds, and the other brand new card as well, the Awakening, the bridge, because that will then allow you to kind of combos, get additional normal summons, and pretty much go all the way through to your big fusion Rainbow Dragons. However, people are adding in different packages in order to protect these plays, in order to kind of get a stronger end board. So these packages vary on different levels of investment. Most of them sit around the same amount in order to invest in them, so keep that in mind. So we'll start off with the cheapest bottom line investment, which I think is actually a really good engine to be putting into the deck, and that is with the Reptilian, a King of the Feral Imps, a Crystron Halifibrax, and then a Herald of Arc Light. Now the reason this is so important is because it's such a good combo piece, with Herald of Arc Light being able to stop the Tier Element matchup, because any card sent from the hand or deck to the graveyard is banished instead, can be very, very powerful. Plus Herald of Arc Light is an Omni-Negate, so if you're not able to afford an Appaloosa sadly sitting at £30 a copy, you'll still be able to afford a Herald of Arc Light play, add in some additional effect veilers in order to kind of constitute the ability to make Herald of the Arc Light, along with the Crystron Halifibrax, King of the Feral Imp, which is like £10 XYZ generic rank 4, which searches you out the Reptilian. The Reptilian, if you control a dark reptile monster, you can special summon it for free, and it is a level 4 tuner. Now this little bit of the engine will come up in other ones, more so the Savage Dragon package, because the Savage Dragon package, in my opinion, is probably one of the best, and was just something that I saw and I was like, whoa, this is really cool. However, the Crystron Halifibrax into Herald, into King of the Feral Imps is only about a £5 to £10 engine at max. Like your Herald of the Arc Light is about £3 to £4, your Crystron Halifibrax is £2 to £2.50, and then all you need to do is add one effect veiler, or two if you want to get a little bit more and use it as a hand trap, and then you're able to kind of utilize this nice little engine which can set you up an Omni-Negate and a counter to the biggest meta around in the form of Tier Elements. Moving on to the second package, this is where it starts getting a lot more expensive. So you pretty much do the exact same engine with your Crystron Halifibrax, less so, but you still utilize it with the King of the Feral Imps and of course your Reptilian level 4. But what you end up going into is, rather than going into something like your Herald of the Arc Light, you go into Borrowed Savage Dragon. Sadly, Savage Dragon is sitting at £25 a copy, and that is something you need to be looking into. On top of that as well, you've also got Appaloosa, and like I said at the start, Appaloosa is a £30 card, and you're pretty much doing the exact same job as the Herald of the Arc Light, you just need a bit more space, and you're also doing the same job as the Borrowed Savage Dragon, but you have the ability to set up both Appaloosa and Savage. Then looking into the final little engine that you can utilise, and you can actually utilise Gargagar Magician, plus Utopic Draco Future, which sits at about £25 a copy, with F0, and what this gives you is it gives you an incredibly powerful boss monster, plus the ability for Omni-Negates on top of that. And the way that this would work is you make King of the Feral Imps, you then make Gargagar Magician, Magician will bring back the King of the Feral Imps, and use both of those as they are both rank 4s and neither of them are numbers, to make F0, and then you put Utopic Draco Future on top. Now again, like I've said, that is doing exactly the same job as the Savage Dragon play. So when you're looking at investing £25 to £30, you're going to be looking at each of those doing the exact same job, just which one do you prefer to play if you want to. Or like I said, the alternative cheaper option will be the Herald of Arc Light play. And do not worry, I will be bringing you demo lists throughout this entire week so you can see the ways that this deck can adapt and how much you need to invest or not invest. Because I will also be bringing you a budget version as well, like I did with the branded decks, just so that you guys have as much information as possible so you know what you want to be picking up and how you want to be building the deck. The other generic cards that you might want to be looking for your extra deck that a lot of the builds are playing is Burning Abyss Cherubini. Now the reason that people are using this is because you make it to get the last level 3 to the graveyard for your full Rainbow Dragon summon. So obviously you have the turtle, you have the panther, and you have the cat technically, and then you have Ruby Carbuncle. They're all level 3s, and then the idea is that behind those you make a Cherubini, and Cherubini will send the final piece to make sure you've got everything you need in order to summon out a Rainbow Dragon or your ultimate Crystal Beast. So Cherubini sits at about £6.50 a copy, definitely worth picking up, but it's something that I think you could probably get for about £5 in trade later on down the line from your local environment, because there's a card that's been sitting around since, I believe it was Ghost from the Past. I could be wrong on the exact set that it got reprinted in, but as an ultra rare, sorry, it was Megatins 20. So as a ultra rare reprint, it's definitely something that's sitting there that a lot of people are ready to get rid of, and now is the time to try and pick it up if you are serious about playing the Crystal Beast structure deck. The final two cards I'm going to mention as well is, if you are going to be playing the Reptilian engine, you can also play F.A. Dawn Dragster, just as a spell and trap negate to protect you from something like Evenly Matched. And then also the other most important extra deck monster that you need to be picking up is Cross Sheep. Now Cross Sheep you can pick up from about £2.50 a copy, and the reason this is so good in the deck is because you do XYZ, you do also, you could technically synchro if you play the Savage engine or the Reptilian engine, and you're also XYZ. So you've got the abilities to increase attack, decrease attack, or what you're going to be doing more times than not when you fusion summon, bringing a card back from the graveyard. Now you'll be able to see all of these different combos, all of these different routes of play online already. I will also be producing a video for you guys because I'm also going to do the investment behind the structure deck. I'll do a budget list, I'll do a full power list, combos and test stands. So this entire week you are fully clued up on everything you need to know about the brand new Crystal Beast structure deck. So I hope this video breakdown has been helpful for you. I hope this has kind of made you realise what cards you may need, what cards you might not need, and what kind of cards you're willing to invest in highly to make this deck as competitively playable as possible. If you do have any questions, by all means, please put them down in the comments below. I will be more than happy to answer them for you. And as a little disclaimer, the prices that are shown in this video are done at the here and now. If they do reduce in price, if they do increase in price, that is something that I cannot sadly control, but it is obviously as live right now as I'm recording this on Sunday, the 25th of September. Anyway, absolutely always the best to you guys. Stay safe and happy dueling.